Well, hello, hello. Welcome back to Pieces of Pat Paints. I'm Pat. I paint the pieces. You get to watch me paint the pieces. Let me turn this volume off in case we get feedback. There we go. Awesome. It's never good. Occasionally it happens to me and we get feedback. My hair's a little sticky up this morning. I definitely have the bad head. Although I did just take a shower. I don't know how I pulled that off. But I am... anyway, so welcome to the show. I'm still trying to wake up from a wild weekend. I had one of my sons had a soccer tournament, and my other son, who I coach his team, had a game, and then we had practice yesterday, and I went to an opera. It was crazy. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time. But I'm worn out. I'm really tired. Which is the best way to be, honestly, if you've been having a good time and you're not tired. Did you really have a good time? That's a debate. We could have that debate for sure. Anyway, so we're gonna get to painting. We've been working on this Dreadnaught and this Librarian. I'm really excited because we're getting pretty close to being able to start putting paint on the Librarian. I also have this little other test piece we're working on. I've kind of working on that on the side. I got a bunch of stuff I'm working on the side. We're also starting to work on this giant. I gotta get on that. And I'm thinking about putting out some videos with just the maybe highlights or just like a combination of different stuff with the song, with our music that we've got on here attached, so we can at least put out the music individually. Speaking of, let's get that turned on. Here's the open side. Boom, boom, boom. My oldest son finally saw it. He was like, "Oh, that looks great." I was like, "Yeah, thanks, man." When the techie generation tells me they like something, I'm like, "Oh, I must be doing this right." Because honestly, you know, that's who you're trying to. When you're in with games and arts and things like that, you want fresh people, new people, and the younger generation is the biggest pool of new people because that's how it goes. All right, so we're looking pretty. We're starting to look pretty snazzy. Almost there on this. And you can see how when you're doing these light thin coats, you can really take care to make sure you're not filling in these cracks, and that's super important. There goes, now popped in. So like these right here, you really don't want them to. You don't want them really getting over into or filled too much with paint. That's what I'm trying to say. Golly, I need more coffee, guys. I'm telling you, I'm a little zoned out. Of course, now I'm gonna have coffee too. Just a little bit more coffee, and we're gonna roll. Okay, so we're trying to get Naples yellow on some face paints. And we need to figure out what we really want to do about these legs. On what colors we want to use there for the bases, the base coats. Most of this stuff will be metal, and we can actually look up. We can look up exactly what that's supposed to look like. We'll see if this whole synthetics got any. Oof, that stuff's powder. Might have to scrap this palette. We've been using this one for a while, so we're just gonna scrap it. Oh, wait. I've been making this thing. I'm weird. If you're new here, I'm a weird person. So I've been making this giant ball of paint from old pallets, and so like I roll it around in the paint and collect any of this odd bits of color onto the ball, and then I let it dry. And the my idea here is that when you know, and when I get it all filled up or whatever with paint, that will I'll use it for something. I think I want to cut it in half and and use it to make like a portal or something. We got to get a little bit bigger, but it would be cool. That'd be cool as a thing. Good morning, Mr. McBeardsly. I did see you. I just kind of got wrapped up in my deal. This water's kind of old and nappy. So we're gonna get rid of that. Kind of wring it out a little bit. And we'll let this dry. And let this dry. These things dry on like some sort of a flattish surface. And you might want to rotate them. Make sure it's not something that, like, if it's going to get wet, it's going to ruin your surfaces. Because these sponges, they're really nice to have. But if you put them on wood or something, it would ruin your day. Lay them on a piece of plastic or your hobby mat would be fine. Something like that. Something that's gonna, like I said, it's gonna be able to take water. We'll just dump this water into there. And we'll get back to that later. I do like to go ahead and give it a little bit of a wipe out before I reset it. Hey, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a sleepy morning here in Oklahoma. Feels like everybody's kind of sleepy. The weather's changing, so that makes people kind of do that from time to time. Okay, so we grab another sponge to see how they've dried out and it's all gotten sideways. Anyway, get some of our fresh water. Make sure I label my bottle H2O so I know what it is. I've got all sorts of bottles. Like, I label most of my bottles because you just don't know. Sometimes in a hurry, or like with my kids, I like having them labeled so that, like, I'm like, hey, use the water, or use the alcohol, or use this, or use that, and they can go read it, even if it's in my little squeeze bottles. So we kind of want to, trying to drench this sponge and fill up the well. Shouldn't be telling on the whole internet, dude. But that's funny. My kids were feeling it on Sunday. They've been doing okay, and then Sunday hit, and they were like, ugh. But they all went to bed a little early Sunday night, and they started to recover. But the adults, we need a little bit more time. I'm starting to recover. But man, I went a little harder at practice than I should have. I have this one boy who's he's never played any sports before, and he's trying to get into it, and like trying to help him learn how to run properly and stuff like that. And so I jog along with him as because we jog some laps every day. We have practice, and usually I only have to like walk with this kid. I can just walk beside him, but he's finally getting to where he can kind of hustle, and so, which is great. And so I have to kind of keep up with him. Yeah, totally. Don't take that kind of thing personally. That is definitely not the way you want to be. Looks like my microphone is way too high. All right, there we go. That should be right. Maybe bring this down a little bit more. I don't need my highs getting all the way up into the yellows. It would sound like I'm yelling in your ears. I think we're better there, at least for now. Okay, as you see, this thing's kind of starting to soak in. Right up here, this is a place where it's not quite gotten in. You can see the bubbles coming out. We do this kind of maneuver on film every now and again. It is kind of fun to see how it works if you've never seen one. It's called a wet palette. There's a lot of people getting into the hobby right now because of the game, Space Marine game. I'm gonna throw that on the floor. Shit. I passed 10 minutes. Oh, good. I don't need to get shadow banned or anything like that. Not that I have enough people for them to care. We don't discuss anything really weird, but I want to try not to say the S word. Try to get better at not saying that on the lives, because I don't. If we ever do get around to being monetized, I don't want to catch some bans or anything. That would suck. But I did work in a kitchen. Right? No, I mean, 40K is cool. Some of the people in 40K can sometimes be a little bit crazy. So you gotta, it's like with any group of people, you can go and play soccer, in a league of adults, and there's going to be teams where some of the teams have some really great guys on them, gals on them, and you're having a really great time with them. And then you get to another team, and it's full of a bunch of meatheads that are super angry at life. Alright, you just set down, smooth that. Oh, easy does it. It's going to wrinkle up a little bit. That's okay. If you've got it too wet, it'll wrinkle up a lot. That might be too wet. That's alright. Just kind of pull it down. And push on one side and pull on the other. Same thing if you kind of get it offset. You can kind of get it to settle back down where it's supposed to be. Some of the most heinous things. Yeah, kitchens. It's a high stress environment, so people can sometimes get a little out of control. And I understand. I get it. I was in the kitchen with a lot of these guys. I know how it feels. It's definitely not the most fun thing in the world. Oh, I thought I had a bigger flat brush. Maybe I do not. What we really need is like a flat to do this right. But most of my flats have gotten shredded. Like I said, you want this pretty loose, not quite like a wash, but pretty dang close to it. And a good flat brush would actually pay off for us here. But like I said, my kids are shredded. You should buy another one. Too terribly worried about these wings, but I do want to make sure it's going to get cut good. I'm not going to cut it on there. We're going to I've gotten droppy over the years. I used to be, my hands used to be a lot more steady. But, you know, as you get older, you kind of lose a little bit of that. That's all right. Just make sure you don't have any. We don't want it really pooling. So come back after a bit, take off any excess. It's better to do multiple layers than let it pool. I tried a little something different on this box. I tried going backwards and forwards, so, or not backwards, one direction and then another on top, just to see if we can pull over painting. This brush is kind of big. It's alright, we'll come back and knock a lot of that over painting out. You can do that real quickly. If you get to it quickly, you can just kind of wet it down and then pull it off. That'll take care of a good portion of it. Might end up having to do a little bit more there later, but you shouldn't have to add a black or anything like that. Sometimes if you miss it, you might have to go take it down to black and start over, which is irritating. Sit. This one. Really control your paints. Sometimes you want it thick, sometimes you want it thin. And your different paints, buying different paints, they're going to have different viscosities. So you have to really kind of pay attention. That should be the first thing you really learn. Brush control and paint thickness, paint viscosity. You need to start learning. You want to learn that first, because you can just copy, you know, armies and stuff like that. I'll never get old. 30 is the new 20. Eventually, your body tells you you're old. It's definitely a thing. It's wild. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my god, why is this so hard to jog with this little child? I'm not that out of shape. And then you start realizing, wait a minute. No, I'm not old. That's why it hurts more. Oh my god. Make sure you don't obscure any major details. So I'm just kind of coming back with a little bit of a dry brush and pulling out anything that might obscure some of these details. Part of why I blow on it too. Make sure I'm getting the paint down in there. Yep, looks like we still got everything in good shape. And we'll poolage around the sides of these bones. crevices. We want to make sure that it's all cleaned back out. Just make sure these brush strokes are nice and tight. As it dries, it's going to kind of help us get a little bit of that extra off there. You don't get too frisky with it, but it's probably enough. Again, it takes lots of layers to get it up to this level. And then now that we're here, I'm going to probably do a little bit of a wash on here just to kind of get into some of the crevices, kind of deciding what I want to do. I think I'm going to do the raw umber and then a little bit of burnt umber. I feel like if we get this set up on the big guy first, and when we go to the librarian, it's going to be a whole lot smoother. The librarian's got a lot of other details and things we have to do. Alright, so at this point, real thin, because it's going to be like you said, it's like a wash. So you just kind of want to this is designed to go into those cracks, and you could just do the cracks if you wanted to. I'm going to try to get it a little bit of a aging pattern. We're also probably going to highlight a lot of this out, but this process also helps you kind of get this bone yellow to set, because this next bit of it will dry brush on there, and it'll look great. A lot of these crevices will get the shading they need. And that's kind of what you're really trying to do. It's like shading it, and it's a fast way of doing it. And again, everybody's got kind of their own opinions on everything. So if you like one technique and you don't like another, you use what you like, and then from there you kind of develop your own style, and that's just how it goes. And some people like one style, and some people like another. Some people like all the styles. I kind of like a bunch of different styles. And it really depends on what I'm doing, how I'm gonna paint something. Like our Elden Ring pieces have a very different kind of look to them than the 40K. At least that's the idea. When D&D, you guys look a little bit different. When I do D&D, it looks a little different than the 40K stuff. But it's all process, and I highly recommend everybody just kind of develop their own. It helps with a lot of things. just a second. Also kind of helpful to put it on there just so you can get a better idea what you're looking at. Okay. For the shield, we want to do, I think we do the dark phthalo on a wash here real quick, and then we'll add, we'll come back and do a little bit like a dry brush on the leaves and such. Okay, these washes need to be super thin. Enough to where it's gonna change the coloration slightly, but mostly it's gonna be able to get into the crevices and such. Back of this shit, maybe a little bit thicker version of the paint. Set up for a second. Grab a little drink of coffee. Looks like everything is rolling really well. Oh my goodness. Okay. I guess we can start working on yeah, let that dry. Oh, we can look at the legs. We'll do that silly fellow. Oh, that's weird. Now. I'm really thinking we're going to go with mostly yellow. A lot of this. I like keeping this inside the green. We might even do this in the phthalo here. In this section. And then do this. All this in the yellow and the metals. We can do some access points maybe. Accent points. I really don't like that. I don't like that. It's on both sides like that too. Oh yeah, Turkish coffee is really good. It's pretty good. Man, y'all are gonna get mad at me. But I think we gotta redo these pieces here. I think I gotta putty that and fill it and file it out. They look terrible. I think you can see them. Yeah, you should be able to see them in the camera. These little things, they've been bothering me for a while, and I was like, maybe it just looks like where they put them together, but no, I think we gotta seal that up. So that's an adventure. Okay. We're gonna work on library. For just a second. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Turkish coffee is fun. It's fun to watch it get made. It's good. It's a very tasty beverage for sure. Okay. Again, with a pretty thin white here. Naples yellow is actually purple. I'm just going to start making his armor, doing the same thing we did with Dreadnaught. Make sure we keep the pools out of those crevices. You want to come back and fill them later. This guy in particular, we got to be super careful. Some of these panels we don't want to get any pigment in at all if we can avoid it, because of the psychic runes or whatever they're supposed to be called, psyker. He's a librarian, so it means he is kind of like a wizard, space wizard with a battle axe and a machine gun in his fist. Because that's 40k. Because after all, why not? Why shouldn't the wizard have a fist? Yeah, different ways people make coffee teas that way too. There's a lot of different ways to brew tea. They're all pretty nice. That's what I mean by the dropsies. On this side, I should be able to use this painting handle. This little painting handle is actually helpful. The big one seems to be too much. I have both. This thing seems to be helpful on these little guys. If you really want to do tea, you should do the Japanese tea stuff. They have like a much more in-depth ritual, like tea masters and stuff like that. Both the Chinese and the Japanese, really. But the Japanese, you know, they get way more obsessive. So it's a little bit more out there. I can't tell if there's a mark in there or not. I don't think there is. There's not. If there is, we'll figure out how to mess with it later. Here we go. Actually, I find it kind of easier to paint these smaller bits with this stuff because it's so easy to just kind of put a little bit down and that's about it. Let it set and dry. Hopefully you don't hit the wrong spots, which of course I did. I'll just clean it up real quick. Again, on this one, we want to really be able to put like a blue, like a white blue ink in there to make it shine out. look up Japanese tea masters. I went to one in Vegas. It was a guy you could travel around with it, and you could go pay money and watch him do the little thing. It was pretty cool. Sounds like an American. Well, this one's just a hatch back here. We don't really want to put a lot of pigment in it either, but it's going to be okay if it gets a little bit. This is some sort of access panel to repair parts of the power armor, Terminator armor. I suppose you can also attempt to dry brush on something like this. It might work. This is definitely one of those where if you airbrush this, you're going to obscure a lot of stuff. Or you're going to change its color. Maybe not for the better. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll be fine. But to me, airbrushes don't solve everything. Yeah, it took me a while to figure out that some people just drink coffee and tea for the caffeine effects. They don't actually care anything about how it tastes at all. They just want it to be able to do the job that they ask it to do, and that's all they want from coffee and tea. They don't care how it tastes, really. They just want to drink it. And that's totally fine by me. I don't care. Drink coffee and tea however you like. I mean, I agree. Yeah, I found my phone stirring. Somebody calling me. They calling me. Looks like my stocks are up. That's good. Stocks go up and down and up and down. Take your time, keep adding those layers. Painting something like this is a great exercise in brush control, as well as that paint management we were talking about this morning, or earlier this morning. It's still morning. Well, morning here. Could be afternoon where you're at. Heck, could be several days from now, judging by the way my videos get watched. Speaking of which, if you kind of do what we do, give us a like and subscribe. We definitely appreciate it. And always feel free to drop comments. We read all of them. And not just me. Sir McBeardsly is definitely part of the team here at Pieces Pat Paints. I take everything seriously as far as like critiques and stuff. Okay, we gotta be super careful here. We kind of want to just barely touch these letters. Runes. I think they're runes. They don't look like they're letters. I mean, runes are kind of like letters, but they're not in, what do they call it, they're not in High Gothic. That is the language that's spoken by the upper echelon of society, is High Gothic, which is basically like an older, like a form of English that's pretty proper, or at least that's how it seems like. And you got to remember that the game's made by, it was invented in England, so there's a lot of like English stuff in it for the British fanboys and stuff. I'm just gonna have to get a different size brush. Alright, let's try again. There we go. fading away on you. That's just part of the process. It's going to look that way. Of course, now the dog wants back in. It's every time. I tell her too. She out there barking. She just have to wait. It's good weather outside. You know you should be out. Alright, now this guy we can get real close in there. Make sure we're grabbing all those edges. We glued it on, didn't we? No. Maybe. I don't know. We'll do it. Just tripping. Worrying too much. Just paint that dang model pack. Either or. So many little intricate patterns on here, it gets hard to see it. this before we gotta start wrapping up for the day. It'd be fun to get some green on there. We might actually have to darken it down a little bit, but having it started is going to feel real good. Hey, no way. I'm not worried about it at all. Don't worry about it. I appreciate you being around when you are and leaving it on so that it's racking up those hours. This stuff really does make a difference. Viewers, likes, comments, shares, amount of time watch. Like, you get to see all of it. I got a report. They changed some of the stuff on the YouTube Studio app to give you like a overview of what's going on. It was really cool. Yeah, it helps a lot. Like, watch time really nails it down. And the more people I can get that are gonna watch like the whole time, or even like it didn't even have to be the whole time. If people would watch like at least 15, 20 minutes of a video, it makes a huge difference. And I know some of you folks out there watch these whole things, and some people are coming back and they watch them way after the fact. I don't know if that's folks just kind of using my work to help them kind of figure out all of it is the same, or we're just catching up. They're making things to me. I think it's really cool either way. The whole situation's really neat. I wish you could tell like who was watching the most, but you can't. At least I haven't been able to find the data. I think it kind of keeps like your user data pretty private, which is good. I mean, honestly, that's good. We all want it that way. Trust me. We want YouTube to keep and Google to keep our information private. You do not want you don't want them sharing that with everybody. Even if it is just little old me. Well, that's a good question. It depends. Usually, sometimes it gets drier faster than other times. I use a different kind of paint. I use some Citadel products and some other products, but I use a lot more like thicker artist acrylics, like Golden and Winsor and Newton. And these are way thicker, and they stay longer. Sometimes they'll start to get like powdery or chalky feel. Like you can see where it leaves little bumps and stuff on things you're painting. And if it's getting like that, then it's something like that happened earlier today. When we first got started, you have to kind of you just kind of get that wrapped up. Ooh, and then just get another one. You can always, if you don't want to buy their parchment, you can always cut your own. I have a whole thing of parchment in the bag. Sometimes I'll add a little water to it as I go. You take a little squeeze bottle, add a little water in the corner. But when it starts to get chalky is when you gotta situation. But as long as it stays pretty moist, usually on. It really is, and it's more of a preference. Some people like to change theirs, like, oh, they'll change them all the time. Like, I know people that they would take that and throw that away today, and I won't. I'll come back to that tomorrow, and it may be a couple of days. It depends on how humid it is. If it's pretty humid, where I'm at, then it lasts longer. The paint will stay fresher longer. But it's when it's drier, because it gets dry around here, it will definitely dehydrate faster. And the longer I'm working open, the faster it dries out too. So like, you know, if you're only working for an hour or so, you throw that on there and go from there. You know, then it's gonna stay. And you know, if you rubber band it, then it's supposed to keep it a little bit fresher and stuff like that. But again, you know, it's a preference. If you feel like your paint's getting too chalky, that's usually when it's like, okay, something's happened. My stuff's gotten too dry. I need to go ahead and reset, because you don't want to get pebbles and stuff in your paint. You want it to have a smooth look. You know, so that it will. Because if it gets too fuzzy looking, it will look wrong. Especially on things that are supposed to have like a hard finish. You know, it's different if you're dealing with, you know, some models can get a little fuzzy and it's not going to make a big difference. But others you don't want it to be that way. Like power armor and stuff like that, we want it to be, you know, a pretty smooth look. You don't want it to be bumpy and look like you know, your model has some sort of skin condition. We don't want to look like that. Anyway, there we go. We're at the 11:02 hour. We usually, hey, yeah, man, I appreciate you stopping by, friend. It makes I love answering questions. It's kind of what the whole idea of the show was just kind of paint and answer questions and chit chat and create a little community. Anyway, we're gonna be back tomorrow. This guy's already nice and dry. I want to put, like I said, another brown on this. We're gonna use a burnt umber, which is a little bit more of an orangey brown. See, we still have some crevices that haven't quite dried out, like right here. I'm gonna add that over there. See, we want those. Oh, you can't actually see that. What I'm doing. I'm acting a fool. That's what I'm doing. There we go. So, yeah, we'll come back and we'll do a little bit of red. I might actually do the red after this, because I'm going to use that kind of like a rust to do that. So, and then I think we're pretty much done on the inside except for the name. We still need to figure out a name, and then I may come back and redo that light, kind of like it. I may do more where it looks more on instead of just there. But everything else is looking great. Hey, I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. So yeah, we got that going for us, and then, I think we've got two more Elden Ring sculptures I need to get done for the studio. One of our patrons who funds the massive Elden Ring project we've been on has two more he wants, because he has this shelf, and after these two sculptures, I think the shelf is full, and then who knows what's going to happen next. But anyway, so we're going to do that, and then yeah, and we'll come back to Dark Angels, and I'll keep painting some of these more boring Marines off camera and show you as we go. So the other Elden Ring characters are Ronnie's sister. That her name is that. I don't remember. It's Ronnie's sister's name. It's and then the big queen Marika. I think that's her name, Marika. And the other one's like Marina or something like that. I don't know. I know what I have saved it in a thing so I can get the files, because we're gonna print them here in the lab studio, whatever you call it. Melania, yeah, that's right, Melania. That's the one. I don't actually ever play the game, so like I don't know. My son plays the game. He really likes it, and my one of our patrons really enjoys it, and he, like I said, he funds the project to paint those, and it'd be really cool. If you're new to the channel, go and check out some of our shorts. I have a lot of my videos, and whenever we get down to stuff, I do a short video to kind of give it a glamour shot spin. I was starting to lose my voice. Yeah, it looks amazing. I have a lot of other things I do, so like I don't play a lot of video games unless my kids really want me to. Oh yeah. Twins. It's the third sister. Right on. We'll be doing her soon. Like I said, we're gonna wrap up. We'll wrap up this. We'll wrap up this project with these two guys. Whoop, come here. And then we'll get back onto the Elden Ring stuff for a little while. I wanted to do some Space Marine stuff since that game came out, and kind of get it going. There's a lot of new people getting into 40K, and so we want to make sure that we're showing things that people might be able to use as they get into the hobby. I'm still thinking about taking this guy up and getting that base to have a little deal. I think we are going to do a Radon. Right on, man. This is going to be Dark Angels. They'll be Dark Angels. Here's a test on this was the beginning of the test on the regular Green Wing, and then we're doing Deathwing for the Dreadnaught and all the Terminators. Now this guy's gonna take a while. We did a little bit of modding on the Terminator. He's got a beard now instead of whatever gear usually goes on there. I gave him a little hood, and then we did a little bit more modding here. Added a shield and a sword that matches the shield. It's over here with some wings and stuff like that. I don't know. I might actually go for subscribe. It's so good. Subscribe. I will never not think that's funny. But yeah. So hopefully with this drying out, we'll come back. We're going to start working on these legs and coming our way down the model. I kind of should have done the legs first and then attached this piece, but I got ahead of myself putting together all the inside of it so that it would look legit. And I wanted to be able to, like, if you wanted to, you could take all this core and look at it on the inside. I hate that they're telling you to seal that up, because it's like, why would I have done all of this work just to seal up the model? That makes no sense. You can't see any of it. Sometimes Games Workshop makes interesting decisions. So anyway, that's enough of me chatting. I gotta go, and because I've got a few responsibilities I have to take care of. Anyway, if you like what we do, give us a like and subscribe. We're here every weekday from 10 to 11. That's Central Standard Time in the U.S. And whatever the hour that was before this one, wherever you are. Hey, yeah, definitely. I'm here. Like I said, I do this every weekday. I take my weekends off, but every weekday, unless I have like an appointment or something, I'm here. And yeah, it's pretty much the vibe. We chill out and paint stuff and answer questions and talk about weird things. So anyway, thank you everybody for coming by. Appreciate you, Hua, Katona, and Riz. I really appreciate you coming and dropping the line. It's always fun to have people to chat with. It makes things a lot more interesting for the channel. Anyway, you guys have a great day. We're going to roll us out of here if Steve will play that outro. Thanks, Steve.